So, a Ronin walks into a bar and finds himself caught in a volatile conflict between two warring officials. Not only will his journey be bloody, but will be filled with twists and turns along the way. From the same man that brought us the classic film Goyokin, we're once again reunited with writer and director Hideo Gosha, starring Isao Natsuagi as the charismatic Ronin named Kiba, the Furious Wolf. It's a story of double-crossing, the pursuit of control, and where greed may get you in the end. Get ready to enjoy the fountains of blood. We're reviewing the action-packed film Samurai Wolf. I'm your host, GojiraFerret. Let's begin. Our story begins 3 years prior to the release of Hideo Gosha's Goyokin, where Hideo, along with co-writer Kai Tasaka, who had written other known works like 11 Samurai, would both create a story that would not only parody Yojimbo, but also give us a more raw and bloody version of the charismatic Ronin trope. The film would put cinematographer Sadaji Yoshida, another 11 Samurai crew member, in charge, with set design being headed by Koichi Kondo. Action would be choreographed by stuntman and choreographer Kentaro Yuasa, who worked with Gosha on 3 Outlaw Samurai. Visuals and action would be audibly accompanied by Masayoshi Mizuguchi in the sound department, with the music being scored by Toshiaki Tsushima. The film would be released by Toei Company on November 19, 1966, under its original title, Kiba Okaminosuke. It would be renamed Samurai Wolf after its Western release. With an hour and 15-minute runtime, Samurai Wolf would be set apart from its peers with such a modest length. A year later, Isao would return as the role of Kiba in the sequel, Samurai Wolf 2, Hellcut. The film would be received positively, but years later, both films would have a cult following built around them. Many fans citing its cinematography, music, and blood-filled action scenes as some of the best in the Chanbara genre. Does this movie live up to the hype? Let's find out. A starving Ronin scarfs down bowl after bowl of rice, but finds himself short of payment. He offers his services and work for trade. While working off his debt, a pair of post officers come face to face with 3 thugs and pay the ultimate price for their encounter. The Ronin hears the altercation and investigates, but arrives too late to save the 2 officers. Our hero brings the corpses of the 2 men to Arai Outpost, where they're from, and discovers a community full of corruption. The law officer claims to be unable to help find the thugs responsible due to jurisdiction issues, giving the sense that he is in someone's pocket. Discouraged, the Ronin brings the dead men to the outpost, where he meets the lead officer of that outpost, a blind woman named Lady Chise, played by the beautiful Junko Miyazono. The Ronin finally reveals his name as Kiba, the Furious Wolf. Chise opens Kiba's eyes to their plight as she tells him they're plagued by the shogunate's messenger, Nizaemon, who seeks to use force by hiring criminals and drifters to kill Chise's officers, all to gain control of her outpost. An altercation breaks out between Chise's officers and Nizaemon and his goons. Kiba intercepts and inserts himself between the 2 factions. He recognizes the 3 thugs as the ones who murdered the 2 officers prior, even commenting on the capuchin monkey that one carries on his shoulders. This causes the 3 thugs to attack Kiba, who masterfully dodges their swords. As soon as the fight starts, it ends as the inspector's men arrive, announcing themselves loudly. Chise is told by the inspector that her officers are responsible for 30,000 gold pieces to be safely delivered to Imagawa Station. If the gold does not arrive safely, it would spell the end of Chise and her outpost. Realizing that her rival will use this as an opportunity to ruin her, she enlists the help of Kiba, who is in the company of a geisha looking for revenge named Okinu. An ambush is sprung and Kiba faces off against the 3 thugs prior. Blood sprays as Kiba slashes his way through the 2 of the 3 men before standing toe-to-toe with the 3rd one in the stable. Using a horse and the monkey as a distraction, Kiba cuts open his opponent in a spectacular fountain of blood. Nizaemon comes across the corpse of his men and realizes that he is ill-equipped to handle the swordsmanship of Kiba. Back at the outpost, Chisa begs Kiba to escort the 30,000 gold pieces to Imagawa Station with her officers. Reluctantly, Kiba agrees as she offers him payment for his services. Outside of the station, a lone samurai is ambushed by Yakuza thugs who discover they are outmatched by his superior skill. The samurai arrives at Nizaemon's outpost and introduces himself as Sanai Akizuki, a samurai for hire who is dispatched to deal with the Furious Wolf himself. The vengeful geisha Okinu recognizes Sanai as the samurai responsible for killing all the people in her village during during a raid years ago. With the one she's been waiting for now here, she enlists Kiba to dispense her revenge. Kiba turns down their payment as he is destined to cross swords with Sanai eventually. Back at Chisei's outpost, another corpse arrives on horseback, with a note issuing a challenge from Sanai to Kiba. The furious wolf agrees to the terms and prepares to battle the samurai for hire. Sadly, Okinu is beaten by the mistress of her house, Ohide, after discovering she has been saving money to pay Kiba to kill Sanai. Sanai and Ohida form a relationship and plan to take the 30,000 gold for themselves after he kills Kiba. Sanai and Kiba duel that night, but it ends in a stalemate as Kiba's opponent seems distracted by Chisei's koto being played in the distance. After the duel, Sanai is attacked by more Yakuza thugs seeking payback for the deaths of their comrades that morning. The Yakuza henchmen are no match and are quickly dispatched by Sanai. The next morning, Kiba and Chisei's men leave towards Imagawa Station, as Nizamon is notified the gold pieces are now on the move. Sanai is dispatched and... Okay, this is where the double-crossing and the triple-crossing backstabbing twists begin. If you don't want that spoiled, please skip to the next chapter, plot finale, to avoid spoilers. If you don't mind, then let's continue. Nizamon has hired the Yakuza thugs to kill Sanai, as he was notified that the samurai and Ohide plan on taking the gold for themselves. Nizamon gives the lead thug a revolver as a way to eliminate Sanai. The convoy continues with Kiba leading. They gain miles of ground, and just before arriving to their destination, they are finally ambushed by Nizamon's men, led by Sanai. During the scuffle, Sanai is able to gain access to the cart holding the gold and rides away, only for him and Hide to be ambushed by the Yakuza with their revolver. Ohide is shot, and the horses break away and destroy the cart. The Yakuza thugs attempt to kill Sanai, but once again find themselves no match for him, while Ohide is confronted by Okinu, who strangles her violently. Sanai returns and is attacked by Okinu, who is overpowered and run through by her nemesis. Kiba arrives afterwards and notices that the cart of gold was destroyed and that the gold was actually rocks placed in boxes, the real gold being transported by merchants who Chisei paid off. Kiba rushes back to Arai outpost, only see that Nizamon has kidnapped the blind official and has fortified his numbers with 3 new swordsmen. Chisei is being interrogated for the location of the gold, but she passes out in distress before they can get anything out of her. While Nizamon discusses payment with the 3 new swordsmen, Chisei awakens and attempts to escape, but before she can cut herself free, Sanai arrives, and Chisei comes to a realization that Sanai is actually her lost husband, Sunjiro. The finale begins as Kiba, Sanai, and even Chisei fight their own battles, with Sanai fighting through Yakuza henchmen, Kiba slaying a cowering Nizamon, and Chisei fighting for her life against the female Yakuza thug. After a bloody and gritty melee, the 3 emerge victorious from their respective battles. Kiba and Sanai both square off in the end and have a spectacular duel, with Kiba tying his hand to his scabbard after noticing that Sanai's left arm was injured to make the fight fair. The 2 swordsmen duel, leaving Kiba mostly on the defensive as Sanai's skills are quite powerful. The furious wolf is then overpowered, and before Sanai can deliver the fatal blow, the capuchin monkey from earlier lunges at Sanai and absorbs the attack. This gives Kiba an opening, and Sanai is slashed open in a fountain of blood covering his face. Sanai falls, and Kiba is seen leaving Arai Station alone as Chisei stands free from her oppressor, but utterly alone now in the world. Let's talk about cinematography. Yoshida experiments with amazing and artistic scenes and angles. You can tell he took a lot of interest in making each shot unique and memorable. The shot where Kiba is talking with Chisei and her reflection is in his katana is a very well known and praised shot by Samurai Wolf fans, even doing his best to make the movements of certain scenes accompany the weight and twisted nature of the narrative, which is displayed as the convoy leaves. The camera turns and tilts its shots drastically, which is accompanied by music, helping elaborate how uneasy the situation they're walking into is. He even employed slow motion during some fight scenes, which was unique at the time. Yoshida, like 11 Samurai, seems to enjoy working with choreographers to get the best shots of the action. I will say his skills are better suited in this film, as there aren't massive 20-man fights where shots got cluttered. It's obvious Yoshida's skills shine best with smaller duels. Despite this film being an action-packed thrill ride, there are moments of good acting. It's displayed well by Isao and Junko, but in terms of lasting performances, it's Yuki Aresa, who played Ohide, that made an impression on me. Somehow, I always favor a villain who can make me hate them as much, if not more, than the protagonists. Yuki gives a performance that is dastardly and over-the-top diabolical. She's so good at being bad that I felt that Ohide would have killed Sanai in his sleep if she hadn't been shot during the ambush. I'm impressed by the caliber of acting in this film. Action is what most of the Samurai Wolf fans demands praise. It's gritty, it's bloody, and well choreographed. No blind and aimless swinging of swords. Blows are calculated, and the payoff with gratuitous splashes of blood are satisfying. As stated before, some scenes include slow motion, which allow you to take in the spectacular movements and cuts, but other times the slashes are fast, and you can easily miss a kill in a blink of an eye. Yuasa was new to movies, as this was his 5th film, but you wouldn't know it by watching his well-crafted fight scenes. It's right there with Goyakin, it's ferocious, it's bloody, but tasteful at the same time. Pushing the narrative forward is a well-timed and somewhat comical dialogue. Since this film has a modest runtime, there's no fluff and dialogue-heavy scenes. It's easy to follow. It can seem less organic as some characters just say what they're planning out loud without any sense of their surroundings, which causes certain situations in the movie that would be otherwise avoided. But this film is an action film, and I can't really focus on the dialogue as they're putting their efforts into the fight scenes. Tsushima seems to be heavily influenced by American westerns, as the music is full of pounding drums and even heavy brass. Just when you think it can't get any more intense, a harmonica begins overtaking the score. The music still has a Japanese feel, using some traditional instruments, including notes of a koto at times. The music is elegant and gritty all at the same time, which in my opinion suits the feel of Samurai Wolf. I did like that some scores sounded very dark, possibly adding more weight to the endeavor that Arai Station is in. The composition is solid, and so far, one of the best I've heard. If it isn't apparent, this film is worthy of its following. I would even go as far as stating that it's very underrated and deserves more attention and praise. From the visuals, the choreography, and even the music, Samurai Wolf is a blood-stained thrill ride that isn't some action schlock. It's a master-crafted action adventure that doesn't hold back on the storytelling or the blood for that matter. Samurai Wolf is everything a Chanbara should be, and a perfect representation of the genre. I can say, without exaggeration, it is one of my most favorite films. That is it. We've made it through the first Samurai Wolf movie. I'll be working on the sequel, Hellcut, shortly. If you made it this far, I appreciate you joining me. I really do. If you're new to this channel, welcome, and I hope you enjoyed. What are your thoughts on Samurai Wolf? Is it worth the praise? Let me know in the comments down below, and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. If you'd like to be more involved and stay up to date with new content, give Samurai Cinema a subscribe. And, as always, I'm GojiraFerret, and thank you for watching.
Monkey!